Good morning. I guess it's time to get started. Welcome to Who Am I? This is my morning meditation. I do this every single day. I've turned it into an oral one. And so instead of these being my internal thoughts, I have learned how to bring them to the outside. And we're going to have a discussion, 1.5 to 2 hours long, all about who am I? Who am I? Where did I come from? Why are we here? Where are we going? What's the meaning of what's the object of the exercise? Both individually and collectively. What is our biotechnological design? Where did we get this design? Is it possible that we were endowed this design by extraterrestrials some 200,000 years ago? It's possible. There's also undoubtedly more to the story than what I am saying. More. As a matter of fact, our story is so magnificent and so full and so interesting. Why we waste any of our time focusing on the things that we focus on, the catastrophization of our situation, instead of focusing on what we could do based on who we are and how this works. What's this medium that I am swimming in? How does it work? What are the laws of the universe? We're going to be talking about a lot of this stuff. I've been collecting gurus for all of my life. I have a little pet notion of my own. I call it addition consciousness. It has to do with the idea that if you are presumptuous enough to want to try to make a stab at a description of the wholeness, that it would be advisable that you at least add in everything that you have ever come across. You can't pick and choose, I'll add this in and then I'll add that in. You can pick and choose when it comes to focusing. You don't have to focus on the bad, but everything has to go into that place in your consciousness that is all that is. There is a place we've got inside of ourselves that's designated all that is. And in that place, you can't selectively input into that place, or you will have a distorted view of the world. It will be very, very, very slanted. Biased is the right word, probably. Biased in and you'll have it'll come to you like a funhouse mirror kind of thing. So you're looking at reality, but kind of distorted. If you want to clear that up, if you want to clear up your inner state and line this up properly, line your physical mind and your inner being mind up in a harmonious manner with reality, there's a few things you got to understand about the nature of reality. And I've been working on this forever and ever. And I'm still working on it. I'm still working on my own picture, and you have to keep adding in everything. There's this place in your consciousness, I call it the place where everything goes. Sort of like the room of requirement, but it's not exactly like that. It's fuller than that. The place where everything goes. You see something, or somebody says something to you, and they look like they believe it, and you cannot put it. You can't figure out what to do with this information. So you just don't do anything with the information. But you really need to input it somehow, even if it's just in the form of a human being stood in front of me and said these words and looked like they believed it or felt like they believed it. That fits somewhere in the bigger picture. I know I'm rambling. Let's back up just a little bit. We are going to be talking about consciousness. As a matter of fact, for the first time, a few days ago, I started putting in a real description of what my video was. For many, many months since I started back in January, I have not put a description in my video of my video. It's been a playlist of things I wanted to share with you, other people's information that I wanted you to check out, and then realize that that's a lot of what I'm talking about, because I believe these things. I believe those people in the movie The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, when they tell us that over Unity devices have been created and our own patent office, in the name of national security, is stomping on them. Now, my original reaction was much like anybody else's reaction is, which is, how dare they? And they're, working slaves of the fossil fuel, there's a lot of reasons to feel pissed off about that because of the state of the world, because of fossil fuels. Excuse me. The massive amounts of destruction that we commit on planet Earth in the name of energy production. And then there's the secondary thing. We need to figure the gravity thing out, so that a lot of our very heaviest things do not have to go by land. And our land trails can all turn back into the kind of agrarian trails they were before the Industrial Revolution. Wow, I got a mosquito in here. They can be like bike trails and footpaths and horse tracks and maybe at the very worst, golf carts. And all the rest of the heavier kind of things can go by flight. They can sail across the earth. They don't have to go by train. They don't have to go by airplane. I know this is our future. I don't know how I know it. I just know it. I know that this is possible, and that we are designed to learn things. That life is designed to evolve and learn. And I may be taking a little extra jump because I'm choosing to ignore some of the painful steps between here and there. Actually, the more painful steps that you ignore, perhaps the more painful steps you can avoid. I'm not sure we have to be in pain all the time. I know that we don't have to do it to ourselves for our own good. I'm pretty sure that if we do not seek pain, pain will still find us. Abraham assures us that life comes at you, and contrast happens whether you don't go asking for trouble. Point your face in the direction of joy and hope, and look for the light. And when the dark finds you, use these formulas to understand the meaning of your negative emotions so you don't get lost there. That's all. Your negative emotion is fine. It's even telling you something real, perhaps about something in the field that is out of alignment with who you think you are. You don't like it. It makes you feel uncomfortable. Your knee-jerk reaction is to change the condition. You want to change the condition. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. Because on the one hand, yes, the physical condition is always the target, but you can't go directly at it. That's one of the tricky things about the nature of life. You can't go directly at it if you are in a negative state. And you very likely are in a negative state if you are noticing a condition that you do not like that is making you unhappy. You are likely in a negative state. And from that state, you cannot immediately fix the problem. You can't, because the universe is not primarily physical. It is secondarily physical, and it absolutely is physical. There is a real thing going on. When they say it's an illusion, life is an illusion, that the physical world is an illusion. Well, it is kind of an illusion, but it's real. What's illusion about it is that we're likely looking at it a kilter. Not that it doesn't exist at all, but the way that you're looking at it could possibly be skewed. Like the kleshas of Buddhist philosophy, which I'm going to put up really quick, and then I'm coming back to my campsite. I'm going to try not to. Maybe I will sometimes. I have a few slides. I share them when I try to share certain thoughts. Let's see, where am I? The kleshas. These are the 5 kleshas. I am not Buddhist, although for about a year and a half, maybe a couple of years, I don't know. It's hard for me to sense how long that was. When my daughters were about 15 years old, one of them and myself dipped into a moment of Buddhist. I was helping to try to find her peace because she was not giving me peace. So I was looking for peace, so I was trying to help her find peace. And we jumped in with some Buddhists for a minute. Now, that's not where I got this. I don't remember them talking about the kleshas, as a matter of fact, although they might have. They might not have called them that. I don't know. This I got out of the book of Secrets by Deepak Chopra. It was a book that I thought, it started with a chapter about unity consciousness. And then chapter 8 was a wonderful chapter entitled Evil is Not Your Enemy. And I loved this book, and I bought maybe a dozen copies, maybe more. And I passed them out at different times to people. Ooh, take this book. This is so meaningful. Read this book. And I was thinking, and the universe will just open up to you. I don't know. It was it opening up to me. But so the 5 kleshas, from Buddhist philosophy, considered to be the root cause of all suffering. And this goes to my thesis. I believe that our suffering here on planet Earth is largely being caused by us not knowing who we are, not knowing how to work the mechanism, not understanding the medium that we swim in, the quantum field, and the rules of the game, because there are rules of the game. And if you were born and raised into a traditional religion, the rules of the game were also couched in a bunch of crap that my logical mind did not accept. It's like, you know what? I don't think it really works that way. I'm not sure I believe that. But in my own way, I have come to a place where I realize how magical the universe really is, and that miracles actually do happen, but they aren't so much miracles as a better understanding of how this quantum field moves and who we are within it, and how the energies are really what it's all about. And what you need to pay more attention to than anything else is what emotional state you are in. Because that's telling you the relativity between yourself and your inner being. And your inner being is the broader perspective of you that really knows who you are, that is reading the markers of the physical world around you. Your spirit is not just in touch with spirit. Your spirit, through its vibrational nature, is without resistance feeling all the world. It doesn't feel judgment about, because it's moving through all of it. If it had any resistance, it couldn't stop at any of it and see it clearly. It would just stop. It's got the whole universe to see. And it's doing it without resistance as this Planck field reverberates. It reverberates across the cosmos. How does it do that? Well, so I am minded of a hologram, and I have a picture of how a hologram is made. This actually comes from one of Nassim's, I think it comes from the Quantum Revolution episode on the holographic nature of reality over there on Gaia. I put it on the playlist. Here's the links list. This used to be in the description of the video. I finally put a description of the video in the description section and allowed strangers to find my show. I didn't want people to find it before while I was struggling to find my sea legs, trying to get I sounded kind of dorky and stilted at first. And I didn't necessarily need people to come in on this grand promise and have kind of a lame show. So I put this instead. And here we have, this is all the stuff that on the side that if you really are interested, look up all this stuff. Because this relates to all the things I'm talking about. The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. It's a documentary talking about over-unity devices and source energy and gravity control and extraterrestrial visitation and stuff. And some of it might be more out there than you're ready to accept. If you don't know what to do with it, just, go put it in the place where everything goes. Under the heading of, well, she certainly acted like she believed it. I'm sure that there is something in there. All of those smart, coherent, wise feeling men were not lying to us, And it certainly does make sense that why have we just seemed to have given up? Where are all the clever ideas about how to monkey rig this and how to, make that better and have this run on practically nothing? It doesn't make sense that we live in a paradigm that is so rigidly held into one place. So anyway, it makes sense to me. Go watch it, see if it makes sense to you. If it doesn't, I push this on nobody. But if it resonates with you, if it seems to make sense to you, then let's get together. And I don't mean physically. Let's just get together in thought, in spirit, and, reverberate this wholeness that we are. And let's get to a better place. Origin, Mass, Nature of Gravity video. Go check that out. That's something. 37-minute YouTube video describing the latest paper. This is where all the math and physics, it may look like gobbledygook to you. And some other people may look at it and say, well, that is gobbledygook. But you know what? There's a place where this isn't gobbledygook. Because it adds up in consciousness to all the things I've been adding up all my life. I've been, operating on this addition consciousness thing, just kind of adding it up, not concluding. I hadn't put a line under anything going, well, this is what it is. It's like I was still in a mode of, I need more information. In 2019, my daughter and I met A Course in Miracles. And we had been working on stuff before. We sort of linked up and formed a spiritual / philosophical / even business partnership as we tried to expand who we were and what we thought we could do. And the venture that we did not come to fruition. It did not. COVID shut the world down in 2020, and the whole thing was a American-Chinese venture. It had to do with teaching English as a second language to Chinese people over a virtual platform, and paying teachers living wages, and she had linked up with a guy who had designed a internet interface platform to do it on, and it was going to be really cool. It was going to be way more interactive at the same time as being where you could have a whole lot of content that was pre-recorded and you sell. Anyway, it didn't work out, so it doesn't matter. I don't need to go into it. But we formed this partnership, and we started working with the world. I was running through gurus and finding interesting things. I was, at that time it would have been Eckhart Tolle and Paul Levy, I think. Eckhart Tolle and the pain body thing was really getting to me. Gary Zukav and his really clear vision of fear and love. Where is the source of the thought that you are carrying out? Is it fear or is it love? Are you going with your mothership, or are you off, just going whatever direction? He was speaking to me. I had gone to, I was starting to go to seminars. I did a Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden thing. Her and I went to a Psych K seminar in Phoenix as we tried to learn how to learn different methods to change your subconscious thoughts, and but it was just a whole process. Paul Levy, I was really excited with him, his ideas of Wetiko. I still like his Wetiko idea. It's valid. What he's pointing at is a really interesting thing. It is the characteristic of our hearts and our heads not being connected with one another. And he takes it from an old Native American term. It is related to, the mythology, the monster that is the Wendigo. Well, that's the source of this, is the monsters that we become when we disconnect our hearts and our heads from one another. It's basically when our inner being and our physical self sort of part ways. You are not listening to the vibrational impulses coming from this peaceful, loving state of your inner being that is eternally and always broadcasting to you all the information of all the universe. And it's not just broadcasting just information that is not prioritized or organized in any way. The way it's broadcasting it to you is through your desires. It's broadcasting to you a frequency of the wholeness of the world from a perspective of what you want. It knows what you want because it is an aspect of you. We are all an aspect of this great almighty oneness thing that we are all a part of, and we need to step up and claim it somehow. I don't know. What I have come to learn is that there is a really big part of this is if you want to change in a meaningful way the physical world, for a minute you've almost got to ignore the physical world so that you can get a handle on a bigger picture. You're not really ignoring the physical world, but if you're focusing on the negative part of it, you're getting so much specific noise down here at a one kind of level that you can't see the whole picture. You got to get into a state of just allowance. Allow it to be what it is for long enough in your consciousness so that a big enough snatch of it can come into view. Who am I? So I promised I wasn't going to do this, and I'm sitting here on this boring slide for the longest time. Let's finish it. The Connected Universe. That was Patrick Stewart narrated it. It came out in 2016. It is, did I miss Quantum Revolution? That's Nassim Harameyn's 12-part series over on Gaia, as he talks about how unification happened between the quantum and physical world, and the quantum and cosmological worlds. The quantum is physical, and the cosmological, those two scales, how they relate to one another mathematically, and how the physics of a unified universe, the fullness of space, spinning space-time, the fundamental forces, the holographic model of the universe, the new model of the Big Bang, what is the rest of the... There's something about consciousness, and there's stuff about extraterrestrials and the technology of the future. I mean, it's out there. It really is. You got to get up to speed, people. So that's there. Then the Connected Universe, that was the movie that was made about Nassim's work. It's describing how this fundamental energy field is matrixing the physical universe together. It's gluing us all together. It's connecting us in a oneness thing. There is oneness. There is a quality of allness to us. We belong together. We are all part of this picture. If you're here, you're part of a very exclusive and important club of the integrated allness of the universe. So anyway, let's keep going. Living in the Future's Past. I throw that in there. It's a documentary. It talks about us as a superorganism. And narrated by Jeff Bridges. Pretty good. And then The Origin of Mass, Nature of Gravity paper. That's over at zenodo.org. All of the rest of that other stuff was at YouTube. So you can go to, I don't have this links list anymore in the description of my video. I now have a description of my video, and a couple of days ago, one of my videos went viral. The one from day before yesterday. I think it was day before yesterday. Got 213, maybe it was the day before yesterday. 213 views. That has to be strangers now. And I had 2 of the most beautiful, blessed comments. It just warmed the cockles of my heart and just tingled me all the way down to my toes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we're going to keep Origin of Mass, Nature of Gravity paper, and then over at researchgate.net you can find a whole bunch of Nassim's papers that he has published. Go look at that. Anyway, we're going back to the hologram because we were talking about why does the inner being, how can you trust that your inner being understands what's going on in the real world, in all of the universe, in a dead-on, absolutely accurate way? It's because it's a hologram. It's not a hologram as in we are not being projected as a virtual reality from another universe. That's not what's happening. It is a reflection of the holographic nature of the system itself. So we're going to review really quick how you make a hologram. So up here, coming out of this thing that looks like the handle of a lightsaber. Actually, I'm not sure if that's what it looks like. That little looks like a flashlight kind of thing. There's a laser coming out, and it hits this first plate, and it is split and redirected. One goes one way and intercepts with an apple, scans the information of the apple, and then goes to this plate right here. The other one just goes from plate to that plate. And as the 2 beams of light meet back up with one another, that interference pattern scatters the information across the whole field. And so now the whole apple is everywhere scattered in the thing. Well, imagine the universe made of plonks, each one a teeny weeny, itsy bitsy frequency. It's a little frequency. It's actually a vacuum fluctuation, a Planck oscillator, whatever. But the universe is full of these. The universe is not empty, it's full. And when these Plancks organize into spin, we call it matter. And when these Plancks are not organized into matter, into the spin, we call it space. But that space is not empty, it's full. We have discovered that even at its resting state, the 0-point energy field is highly, highly, highly energetic. So what's happening is there's this jiggle of space-time as all of these Plancks they're like transferring their information, their local information up to through scales of information up to the allness and back down to the itty-bittiness. So, wow, that I just got a vision of something. You know, how we all have all of the information. So the Earth has all of my information. And the sun has all of the Earth's information from where the sun is. But anyway, I'm about to get too esoteric. But what's happening is every nano instant, all of the individual points are reporting, basically jiggling their information, reporting it up to the all, and the all is sending the the information of the allness back down to every point, every plonk, now, as this plonk field jiggles. It's holographic. All of it is contained in the interference pattern that is created, this reverberation of space-time as this allness communicates all of its information. We are part of a living universe, people. Quit thinking that it's dead. It's not dead. It's not little tiny bits of life in a dead universe. The whole thing is alive. And it's vibrational, and you are vibrational. And you have this this vibrational aspect of your own cosmic anatomy. You can think of it that way. It is more than that, because it is more than just your anatomy. You can think of it that way from the perspective of your physical, self. But when your physical self expires, that continuum of desire and interest and knowledge and preference, that continues, and that's you. Your inner being is you. You probably become more generally you and more purely you. And without the resistance of this density of space that you have come into experience to fill in the layers of your understanding of who you are. I think that's what our whole life experience is about. But it's not really just about that, because that sounds like a chore. We're here to learn things. Well, what we're really here for is the fun of it. But what I've noticed is that there's a lot of people not having a lot of fun. There's some people that are kind of hysterical having their fun, focusing manically in their fun direction and, having fun. And other people who are not having any fun at all. And we are this oneness that's kind of not integrated the way it needs to be. If we would understand collectively who we are a little bit better, then we could organize our systems into a higher level of order, so that we aren't even talking about the possibility of the solution being, let's go bomb those people. If they are misbehaving or if they are out of alignment, we need to get to the place where we're generally understanding who we are, and we can go with outreach and friendship and information and heal people and bring them back into the fold. But right now, what fold would they be brought back into? We've got a poison at the center of our understanding of ourselves and each other and the world. And I think we need to clear it up. We are good. We are not bad. Even the worst of us is good. And if they are being bad, they are not understanding who they are. They've got their systems out of alignment. They're thinking that we are living in a zero-sum game, and the object of the exercise is competition, and, he who dies with the most toys wins, and survival of the fittest, and screw you, look out for number one, or whatever kind of paradigm that they're out of alignment with who we really are. And as such, they're not living the fullest, most abundant lives that they could live. And they're creating in their scarcity consciousness a kind of scarcity for all of us. And I don't like that. And so I would like to see us lean more in the direction of who we are and how this works, and come to a place where we can understand who we really are and how our biotechnology functions onto this quantum field and what are the rules of the game. So I've been studying my teachers. I've developed different teachers. Like I said, we were working on it before COVID. And then COVID shut our little project down, and philosophy had to allow us to come to grips with the idea that, months and months and months of labor and tens of thousands of dollars down the tube, but instead of thinking of it as a loss, we had to think of it as, so you can't get it wrong because you aren't done. You aren't done yet. You're just in the process of. So what were we in the process of figuring out then? We were learning about ourselves. We were learning about the universe. We were getting our legs underneath us. We were figuring out the things that we could do. And actually, we accomplished so many things. And we learned so many things. So you just take that and keep going. Keep looking forward. What is it? What are we doing? What are we doing? Right before COVID shut us down, my daughter and I found A Course in Miracles, and we'd started to study it through a local in-person study group that was meeting at the local community center every Monday. I think it was every Monday night. And we did that for a while, and then COVID came along and all of those kind of in-person things shut down, and those people were all kind of old, and some of them probably are gone now. And anyway, people don't do that kind of thing anymore. So as early in 2020, I found Abraham, the teachings of Abraham, and she gave me a piece of the puzzle that I didn't know before. And I'm going to share some of that with you. And then later on, a friend of mine shared with me a book called The Wisdom of Abraham, Seth, Abraham, and Bashar. Seth was a channeled consciousness that Jane Roberts was channeling that entity of wisdom and teachings for the world. A Course in Miracles was channeled too, by the way. And the punchline, if I had to take one sentence away from A Course in Miracles, it would be this. Actually, I would take a couple of sentences. First of all, you are the one assigning all the meaning to the physical world, to the world of Planck's that you see. You are the meaning is coming from you. It's coming from you. Without you just looking at the field, it doesn't have any meaning. You're the one bringing the meaning to it. So that's one thing that you bring away from A Course in Miracles. The other one is, and this is the more important one, only the love is real. Only the love is real. The rest of it might be true, might be there, might be, I don't know, but it's not real. It's not real with the capital R, because you're the one making it real, and you're made of love, and it's interesting. So I met Abraham early in 2020, which was great because I fully participated in the pandemic in the sense that we were old enough, and I'm retired. I mean, I haven't worked for an outside source for a long time. I was chief administrator, secretary, Girl Friday, chief cook and bottle washer schlub for the family corporation for the last 25 years. But other than that, I did not have an outside job. Hadn't had one for a little while. Been less than 25 years. But my husband was allowed to come home and work from home, and so I spent a lot of 2020 just meditating upon our situation, meditating upon philosophy, and finding, there was no preconceived, no agenda. I didn't know what I was doing. I have a beautiful sanctuary-like spot, an acre of property with trees and grass, and everybody stayed home for a year, and I was okay with that. So sorry about the rest of the world, but they told me to stay home, and I participated. Now, I don't think I'd do that again. It had the effect of shifting some things in the world quite positively. It sort of acted like the seismic shift that we used to have to undergo wars and stuff to accomplish, world wars even sometime, to accomplish the kind of shift. A lot of things changed after a lot of people work from home now that never worked from home before, that could have worked from home before, but it wasn't demonstrated so clearly. First of all, it was like everybody must stay home. And then from that position, we realized how many people could still indeed effectively efficiently do their job from home. And so that was a beautiful thing. You have to, there's value everywhere. And if you focus on the bad part, instead of understanding that every step of the way, the clouds are producing silver linings all over the place. Things are always working out for me. And I have a little mantra. I hope it doesn't mean that someday my house is going to burn down and I'm going to have to prove this literally. But my little mantra is, things are always working out for you, whether you see it that way or not. And they are always working out for you, even if your house just burned down. Somehow, that is working out for you if you will lean into it. It is, your inner being is showing you a new path, a new opportunity, a new understanding of something if you will but follow her guidance. She is not flapped by any condition. Follow her guidance. Hold her hand and walk across the razor's edge. You'll be all right. Just don't focus on the bad shit. Focus on the good stuff. Now, I am not a proponent, actually, of naivety. And when I was younger, I was quite fixated on some dark academic subjects. And I did study them academically. I wasn't so fascinated with Nazis that I ever became a Nazi. I wasn't that. I was horrifiedly fascinated with Nazis. Never wanted to become them. Never really wanted to go out and, hunt them either. But I was fascinated by the phenomenon because it was just so over the top. I don't even know. I don't know how to describe why I was so fascinated with that. And then it seemed like it was safe, at a safe enough distance from me. I wasn't frightened of them personally. They seemed a long ways away. Hey, they were Germans, for heaven's sakes, and it was away back in my father's time, and it was away over in Europe, in Germany. It was them. It wasn't us. We were the good guys there. So if I study this thing, and besides that, we are blessed. We are American. We have this shield protecting us from the horrors of the rest of government atrocities and such. We have our blessed government that will save us, that our forefathers, our sacred forefathers handed down to us, and that couldn't happen here. And anyway, of course I don't see it quite that way anymore, but at the time it was enough to make me feel no fear, but only just this intense curiosity about that whole phenomenon. How the hell did that happen? What was that? And as I've gotten older, my understanding has only gotten more mature about that. What the heck was that? And by the way, Germans did not do that. Humans did that. Human beings did that. We did that. There is no us and them that you can fob that one off onto. They did that over there. I would never do that. Well, we need to understand who we are so that we can never do things like that again, so that we make sure that we understand that the enemy is the polarity, not any particular individual. There's a spirit that's your enemy. And the only way to conquer that spirit that is your enemy is to adopt the positive counterpart of that spirit and run with that. That is the way to do it. Now, we're going to talk about, let's see, where do I want to be? I just want to rest somewhere. I call this one Hobbitscape. We're talking about who am I? And the reference is source energy, which means we need to understand where matter's coming from, where reality's coming from, what the rules of the game are. Bashar is going to give us 5. I like his 5 laws of the universe. I have them right here. I went through my notes right before I started broadcasting so that I would stay really clear. I'd stay on topic. Sometimes I just, I stumble down into my studio half asleep. I put my clothes on, brush my teeth, brush my hair, walk into do my test, and then just launch without really thinking about what I'm going to be talking about. I figure I'll jump into the river somewhere, and I've been doing that for a long time. I'm fairly good at it, and some days I come up with a good one, and some days I don't. But I figured since yesterday I had one of mine, turn viral. And it wasn't the one I did yesterday. I think it was the one I did day before yesterday. I'm not sure exactly. It might have been 3 ago. But it went viral. And so I realize now that since I have changed the description of my thing, real people might actually find me. And so I need to be on it. So Bashar has this, and this is quite concise. These are the 5 fundamental rules of the universe. It's all of them followed by the line, there is nothing you can do to change that, because none of these, you can't do anything to change these. These are structural pillars of the universe. You exist. You aren't going to unexist either. You exist. And your non-existence, by definition, does not exist from your position of existence. So you will always exist. Number 2, everything is here and now. Your ability to think about yesterday and project tomorrow is just in your mind. In actual fact, the physical reality of it is just now, 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 now. And the information of the past comes with you into the present. That's why your inner being never has to look backwards, because all of backwards is right here and now. The third one is the one are all and the all are one. There is a oneness quality to us. We are matrixed together. What I do affects you energetically. What you do affects me energetically. And that's why we're going to have a big, long discussion about our energetics and what me acting on my negative emotions, what effect it has on you, and why we can't get out of each other's business. Where did our design come from? We are designed. I believe we are. That's a whole nother thing. And then this is the only actionable rule. You can't change this one either. What you put out is what you get back. It's a big old mirror. The whole thing is in a really subtle, clever, cosmic, absolutely perfect way, is reflecting back to you the signal frequency that you are on. That's what you're getting back in terms of ideas, in terms of rendezvous, in terms of resonating other players that you're, bumping into. It all has to do with the frequency that you are broadcasting on. And then the last one is everything changes except for the laws. And there's nothing you can do to change that one either. So, let's see. Let's just put that right there since I am finished with it. Let's see. I was minded of something really quickly there. Was it when I said what you put out is what you get back, and there's nothing you can do to change that? I said something there, and it reminded me of something, and now I've lost it again. So anyway, who are you? Who am I, and how does this work? What are the laws of the universe? Well, those are the laws. What are the steps of creation? How about that one? I haven't done this one in a while. I listen to a lot of Abraham. She talks about the law of attraction, and that which is like unto itself is drawn. She focuses there. And the way the energies work, what you are putting out is what is coming back to. Oh, I remember what it was. Let's see. It has to do with you being, let's see. Here we go. Your higher mind, this is a Bashar thing, and he says higher mind, I'd say inner being, it's the same thing, is the conceiver of ideas. She is the conceiver. This is you. This is you, bigger you, small you, in tandem. You are a co-functioning unit of higher self and smaller self. And the higher self is actually bigger than just any one of us. The higher self is working with more than just, it's a bigger project than just you. But your piece of it is focused on the project from your perspective. So it's okay. It doesn't matter if there's more and other people are involved. It really doesn't matter. You have your piece of it and your perspective coming from that center of that piece. So, who cares? It's only a good thing that it includes other people. So your higher self is the conceiver. Your physical brain is the receiver, and your physical mind is the perceiver. I like that. I thought that was good. Conceiver, receiver, perceiver. Your higher mind is the conceiver. Your physical brain is the receiver. And your physical mind is the perceiver. So what are you perceiving that is being conceived by your higher mind and received by your physical brain? Isn't that interesting? Who am I? And the plot thickens. The plot thickens. So what other things do we have to add to this? We were going to talk about Abraham and her work. She talks about the steps of creation and the vortex of creation and your inner being who is standing in your vortex of creation, calling you to all the things that you have asked for, that you have put into that vortex incrementally, that they have been gestating and mixing with all of the other parts. And I think one of the things that keeps us from getting what we want is we keep trying to just extract little pieces of our vortex because we don't think we're worthy of the whole thing. We don't think that the whole thing is capable of giving us everything we want. And I actually think that it's possible it's way more capable of giving us everything that we want than just pieces. It wants to give us what the whole thing baked together looks like. All of the things that you want. You want fairness and freedom and abundance and all of these things, and you keep settling for just a little tiny piece of something. And it's because you're focused on the material world way too specifically, way too soon. Go general, go general, go general. As a matter of fact, here, this brings me to this slide I haven't really shown for a while. I only wanted to show this again at just the right time. The 4 general states of being. You have 4 general states of being. And this, believe it or not, is your brakes and your accelerator. When you go specific, it's your accelerator. When you go general, it's your brakes. So you really don't want to ever go specific unless you are in a positive. So if you start finding yourself going specific and it's spiraling you quickly into a jacked state of emotion and you're in a negative state, well, disconnect. You're not helping anything from that position. You are not helping anything. You have gotten yourself turned backwards. And there's nothing wrong with you or it or that. But if you understand your equipment, you know how bad it feels to try to push forwards when you're turned backwards. And the more that you try to push forwards when you're turned backwards, the more that the louder that bad gets, the harsher that negative emotion starts feeling. So just stop. Just stop. Go put your feet in the water. Go take a bath. Go take a nap. Go have a snack. Go, meditate. Go sit in front of your altar. Go watch the squirrels. Go pet your cat. Go whatever it takes to bring you back into, get yourself turned back the other direction. The meaning of your positive and negative emotions are that. So. This is the meaning of your positive and negative emotions. Aperture on the left, imagine that's your source self. Aperture on the right, imagine that is your specific individual self. Oh, no, don't want that one. How about this one? Those two minds are you. The one is your broader perspective mind, your inner being, your vibrational cosmic aspect mind, the one that is in touch with the holographic nature of the universe and absolutely does know where every material thing in the universe is, what its temperature is, how it's moving, all the way down to the Planck. Absolutely. So who are you going to trust? Are you going to trust the guidance of your inner being, your vibrational higher self, or are you going to trust your own limited physical mind? Both of them are acting together. But when you take a thought that your inner being disagrees with, has a completely different thought about, you feel it as negative emotion, because what it is it's a clashing of vibrational frequencies. It's a clashing rather than a merging of vibrational frequencies. I probably shouldn't just kill those little bugs. He was probably a messenger of the gods. I'm sorry, I just killed a little bug. It's because my house is infested with these little elm seed bugs. And it was an automatic thing. We are all one. We are in this together. And yet I killed you. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I shouldn't kill you when I'm in this mood. I can kill you later when I'm in a different mood. So who am I? And what does all of this mean? I think we can get off fossil fuels. Remember, the steps of creation, the steps of our creating is this. Step 1, we ask. Contrast causes us to ask. And step 2 is source answers. Step 3, you've got to get into the state of allowing the answer to come to you, for the great ideas to drop into your head, for you to realize how to answer what you have asked for. We have asked for better than fossil fuels. It is not enough for our society anymore. There are a lot of people with great ideas, with things to do, with blessed, wonderful things to do that they don't have the energy to do it with. We've been watching a show, Still Standing. I mentioned it in the last couple of days. I've mentioned it at least once. I really like this show. Johnny Harris goes around to the struggling small towns in Canada. Most of them are struggling because they were built from one kind of industry, and that industry went away, and the people left. If they wanted to stay together and in this beautiful spot of the earth, where they were, they had to be clever. They had to come up with ideas, and they've come up with some great ideas. And he goes around and he shows them a sense of humor about themselves and about life and he's really funny and sweet, and the spirit is very kind and unifying. And I'm sure that it shows these people often a side of themselves, a good-natured side of themselves that they may not have fully recognized. He puts a mirror up to these people that is just breathtaking and beautiful. And the reason that I bring up the show, today the reason I bring it up is because they were showing one, just the last one we were watching was some community that one of the things that they used to have that they don't have anymore is orchards, apple orchards, because they can't afford to run the apple orchards anymore because it takes too much energy. Too much, the costs of production went up, and the costs of the price of the apples did not go up to in correspondence, and of course it wouldn't, and we wouldn't want it to, would we? What we need to do is we've got to bring the cost of production down, and the way you do it is you don't slave labor the people, or you don't do it from that. You've got to understand that there's a win-win position. There is a win-win position, and I have come to believe that our understanding of ourselves and source energy is going to bring our civilization to a realization of a way to have clean, free, energy for everyone. And there's a number of ways you could do it. You could try to resurrect Tesla's old work, although all of his papers were spirited away. I don't know where Tesla's work is. There have been people who have gone to the patent office and handed stuff to the patent office thinking that the patent office was going to take this legitimate thing, give them a patent, and then they were going to be able to go out and produce free, clean energy, and they were going to make a little billion-dollar empire of their own. But that is not what happened. It was snatched away in the name of national security. And you could push back against that in a resistant way and say, how dare they do that? And look at what harm they have caused as a century has gone by. But I have come to believe that we really need to know who we are before we can be trusted with something like free, clean energy everywhere, as much as anybody wants to do whatever they desire to do. If you handed free, clean energy back to those apple growing people back in that town in Canada, they'd have that apple orchard back up and running in a heartbeat. Because then now production costs are way, 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 way down. All you have to do, you have to pay for machinery at some point, but that will pay back year after year after year. What you don't have to pay for anymore is all of that freaking energy cost. All the fuel, it costs too much. It costs too much to recycle. It costs too much to resequester carbon. It costs too much to desalinate ocean water. It costs too much to all of those things. But once we have free, clean energy, we can do all of those things. But you got to know that if we had been given free, clean energy 100 years ago, a lot of really, really bad people would have used it in really, really bad ways. And we as a general group had not evolved to the point where we would have still us and them'd. We can't do that anymore. There is no us and them. There is only us. And when it comes right down to it, there's only you. You are at the top, at the center of your own universe, your very own universe. But that universe is nestled within, bubbled within a communal universe that we all share. So, it's way bigger than we're giving it credit for. If you got 10 people walking down the same street at the same time, I guarantee you have 10 completely different experiences, different universes, different translations, different everything. They came from different sources, different parents. As a matter of fact, every single one of us had different parents. I had different parents from my 2 full sibling sisters and my full brother. All my siblings, I had completely different parents than my full siblings. Because I was the baby of the family, and the oldest of us, she had the parents that were just starting out, that didn't know what they were doing, that were starry-eyed and eager to try, and fresh off the war, and still naively believing every word her religion says, and coming together in this desire to raise a family and make a life, and then the middle children, where we were kind of slogging through the I don't know what spirit I'm even trying to describe there with that vibration. So, and then I'm the baby of the family. By the time I came along, they gave up. They had given up. Everybody was involved in their own system. The system was deeply entrenched. I wasn't there when they invented the work wheels or the chore wheel on the refrigerator, the weekend one, and as well as the weekday one. By the time I came along and had consciousness, there was an organization of like 10 people going on. Because when I was 4 years old, a whole bunch of our cousins came to live with us. 4 of my cousins came to live with us. And there was already 4 of us, so now there's 8 kids and 2 parents. That happened when I was 4. I don't really remember much before that. Anyway, it doesn't matter, except for you got to know that in the who am I question, who I am colors my view of this. But I'm still talking about the big thing that, that we all have in common. Let's see, where do I want to go with this? I have all my notes here. We're talking about, let's see. I was doing the Abraham thing and tying it into freeing us from fossil fuels. Ask and source answers. But source only answers vibrationally. You've got to find that vibrational frequency and emanate it. And if you do that, then you can help and assist that vibration to come into fruition sooner rather than later. I do believe that we are going to figure out being on source energy eventually. It may get to the point where it all depends on how much negative emotion we're prepared to put up with. I'm getting sick of it. And I am getting sick of the fossil fuel paradigm upon the planet, especially the more that I can see how the world will change when we don't have to do that anymore. It's just going to be amazing, though those beautiful, small, untouched communities like out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean are not going to be at a disadvantage anymore. They don't need the infrastructure. You don't need to bring the rest of the world in on their terms in order for you to tag into the rest of humanity. You can, with all the free, clean energy that you have, that you want, you can garden your little stretch and provide for your people all the food that they need. And then in your own terms, you can invite the rest of the world back in to visit your little Shangri-La, your little vision of perfection that you have imagined and then want to share with the world. That's what the world is going to end up being, this patchwork pocket of imagined Shangri-Las that people create, take care of their people, and then invite the rest of the world in, because we love to visit one another. We just love to do that. And you're going to have to do a little bit of mixing with the rest of the world because we are one. And there's this human marketplace, this circulation system that we got going on, the communications, the internet, which is our budding nervous system of this great being that is humanity, this one being that we are. And you're going to come to the realization that these wars are an autoimmune disorder. There's only one of us here. There is no us and them. And although there are enemies that you can see, those enemies are an energy form. They are not, and some individual in physicality has picked up the energy form and they're wielding it with a club and you're blaming him. It's the energy. It's the Shiva energy, the Loki energy, the demonic energy that we leave laying around in the field that our brothers and sisters pick up and wield, because we don't understand what happens when we cross our own energy stream and then act from that. When we believe our negative self and act as though that's who we are. Our negative self is not who you are. And the way you can help someone be a better person is quit looking at the darkness they are being and see the light inside of them that they really are. Know that they are that. Know that they are you. Know that we are one being, pedagogically moving through history and time. Now, people say that a lot, and they use it to go to a place that I'm not going to go to. I'm not advising anyone to sacrifice themselves for this great all-being that we are. Quite the contrary. Do not sacrifice yourself. Find yourself. Love yourself. Be yourself for the group. Don't sacrifice yourself for the group. You sacrifice yourself for the state. You know, you end up with like the Third Reich or the North Korea or something like that. That you don't want that kind of state where the individuals are sacrificing themselves or the state is sacrificing the individual for the greater good, for the greater whole. No, 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 no. You don't want that. That's the flip side. It's the opposite. It's the negative picture of that. But if you take that one and flip it back the other way around, we can turn all the negatives in the world back to positives. You just have to understand how the main structure of this is designed. So Abraham talks about a vortex of creation, and she talks about your inner being tending that vortex of creation, and you being you comprising of a binary system that is like two separate spinning discs of attraction, she calls them, and as these spinning discs of attraction, they are pulling into their orbit cooperative components to their desires. Now they are two separate things, but they are linked at the source, at the bottom. The two vortices are linked at the bottom. That one is spinning out of the other one. And that's kind of is how I visualize what the universe is like. It's like there's this source spin that we all share. It's a common spin. It's original spin. It's the one we all spin out of. But somehow I am in charge of my own individual spin, my own individuated self. That is my piece of the diversity, and it is divinely autonomous. Someday I got to write a book called Divine Autonomy, as I talk about this, the force and power of that individuated spin that you own. And the way you work it to its highest advantage is you try to get that individuated spin that you are into alignment with the source that you are, because that puts you into alignment with actual reality, with the actual evolving field around you. What's actually happening, not some demented, twisted, funhouse mirror twisted perception of it, but actually in alignment with what it really is. If you do that, then you are flowing with the flow around you, and you are cooperating with what your inner being knows to be your highest interest, your highest value, your highest. And not just interest like it's in your interest. No, it's all about your interests. What interests you? What lights you up? What lights your fire? Who are you? So I have this written out here. I have notes here. You're a binary system. I got a bunch of words to describe this binary set that you are. You're the unit on the specific unit on the ground, lighting up your area of the grid and passing up your information up to the wholeness that you are. And then the information of the wholeness is coming back down to you. You're being fed you've got all the information, big and small, right here. The wholeness is feeding its information back to you, helping you walk around on the ground. It's like you have an overview person. You're walking in a labyrinth, basically. And behind different doors, you got monsters, you got jewels and treasure and beautiful maidens and vistas and, goodies and monsters and all kinds of stuff in this labyrinth that you are walking through, and you can tell what's where by feelings that you're getting, signals that you're getting from your overview self, guiding you past the monsters to the treasures. Now, that's all very interesting. How is she guiding you? She's guiding you vibrationally. How is she doing that? By how you feel. Are you paying attention to how you feel? Or have you quit paying attention to how you feel? You've got your attention on that condition out there that you hate. And so now you feel really, really bad. Are you paying attention to how you feel? Well, now I am, but it feels really bad and I don't want to pay attention to that. So now I'm trapped focusing on that thing I don't like anymore. Well, you got to learn how to use the system. So who are you? Let's break this down ultimately to the beginning. I like to think of it in terms of form and formless. That's fundamental. That's where we are. Form and formless. Well, what's the formless? It's the Planck field. And that Planck field can become anything. Anything. It can come into the form of anything. How does it do it? Well, it does it by virtue of attention, focus, desire. Desire is what is guiding the focus and the attention. And what is it that we desire? Well, at this position, we're talking about our very, very pure and clear desire. It's freedom, beauty, love, joy, efficiency, clarity, abundance, comfort, fun, relationship. That's what we want. That's what we come from the spiritual realm from. Those are our clear desires. And as you walk your path and choose your way in this physical world, you are declaring, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? What am I identifying with? What am I? And when you're dead on with it, well, that's probably a poor choice of words. When you're correct with it, when you're in alignment with that, it feels really good. Your inner being gives you a signal of, yeah, that feels so good, because you and I are right on the same beam. And when you are off, when you're overthinking small, mean, limited thoughts, resistant, limited, small, mean thoughts, they come in on a frequency that clashes with your eternal, constant, vibrating, broadcasting self. It clashes with it. And you call that sensation, you call it negative emotion. So what does it mean? It means that your inner being is never in a state of negative emotion. Never in a state of negative emotion. That doesn't mean that it's wrong when you are. It just means that that negative emotion is not ever who you really are. It's just an expression of something that's going on in the moment that you don't like. And that's fair. But you also have to know that you will never solve it from that position of negative emotion. If you want to solve that problem, you've got to flip yourself back to the forward position while still observing that. Now, can you still even see it anymore? Can you still see it? Most of the time when you flip back to the positive, that negative just goes away. But when you're talking about big things like the stuff that humanity deals with, you individually flip back to a positive and you find that our negatives are still there. We are still committing the 6th mass extinction on planet Earth. We are still burning fossil fuels, which is a big, big part of the scarcity paradigm, the artificially created scarcity paradigm that we find ourselves in, is being created by our monetary system. Do you know how our money is even created? Our banks loan it to somebody. They just make it up out of the air. This looks like a good venture. We'll lend you the money. They make the money, and then now you have to pay them back more than what they made. So they lend you $10,000, you have to pay them back $12,000. That $2,000 now exists in scarcity. There already isn't enough. Until somebody else has to, create something by creating another idea. And so the world expands, but it expands in a way where we're always left with just a little bit less than what we really need. And the world doesn't have to be that way. Does not have to be that way. So let's go back to we're going to describe your binary system. I started with the form and formless. The formless aspect is the quantum field, and quite frankly, that's where your being is grounded in. You are the quantum field. You are made of Plancks that can change into any physical form that it wants to. As a matter of fact, you couldn't hold it to the same form if you wanted to. You can try, but things are always changing, except for the laws. And the reason is because every Planck instant, all of it, is blinking completely out and then completely back in. And the only thing that holds it into any kind of sameness is the focus and attention. But it's not perfect, so when it comes back in not exactly the way it went back out. You know, it's as it comes back in, it allows the whole thing an opportunity to shift. And that's how things change. So we are the formless and the form. We are the eternal and the expirational. We are the quantum field as well as your physical body. We are the macro to the micro, the timeless to the temporal, the vibrational to the conventional, the allness to your you-ness. We are holographic. So that's a little note that I pulled that one out. I had made that one earlier as I delineated who we are, who are we, and how is this understanding going to bring us to freedom from fossil fuel, freedom from war, and our ability to recreate the magnificent abundance upon this planet. Re-garden Eden. The capability of the planet to produce abundance is breathtaking. Do you know that all of the South Pacific, like Hawaii, I don't know, all of the volcanic islands that are volcanic islands in the South Pacific, some of them may have been coral, and so that's a different story. But all of the volcanic islands started out as nothing, and now they are Hawaii. And it is so lush and beautiful. Nature just has a way. And if we would understand how to get into alignment with this system, consciously get into alignment with this system of life and biology and data flow that surrounds us, we would be able to recreate magnificence on this planet. And yeah, are we a bunch of dunderheads and noxious, unpleasant, destructive beings? Yes, we are. But the only reason that we are is because we don't understand our equipment. I don't think any of us really want to be dunderheads. We don't realize how poisonous our own negative emotion is to the rest of the field. We just don't understand that. We think that as long as we're just beating up on ourselves, then who else are we hurting? Well, we're hurting us all because we are all one. You're beating up on me, thank you very much. Although you have a divinely autonomous right to do whatever you want with your own individual self, still you are affecting the energy field around us. So we're just going to come to a better understanding of that. And then it's going to be okay. And then it's going to open up all kinds of new cans of worms. I'm ready for new cans of worms. I'm tired of the old cans of worms. I'm ready to try to deal with what it's going to be like when we set all of us free from gravity. That's going to be fun. What are fences going to mean anymore? Well, some of it is going to mean something because we still are fencing in some cattle and horses and stuff, but we're going to create a world of such incredible abundance that we aren't going to feel the need to, enclose our little pieces of the biology in with barbed wire quite the same way that we have. So somebody's going to need to invent a device that winds up the barbed wire, that takes it, that goes out into the West or where all the barbed wire is, where we tamed the West, and, re-wrap it back up into these big, enormous balls of barbed wire that are going to sit out, and they're going to be the most wonderful habitats for birds and critters and such. I can just see that. It's going to be great. That's going to have to appear in a novel somewhere. So let's see. What do I think is the problem with us? Part of it is the scenario that we think we're living in. It's a really big part of it. What you think the object of the exercise has a great deal to do with how you are playing the game. If you think the object of the exercise is he who dies with the most toys wins, then you play it very differently than if you think that the object of the exercise is to understand who I am and to live creatively, productively, and abundantly with the rest of the field around me. That's a whole completely different... So what is the object of the exercise? Oh, my notes talk about... competition versus cooperation. Those at the bottom compete. Those at the top cooperate and collaborate. That's actually the way that works. Actually don't like that note so much. I thought it had something more useful on it than it did. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. And herein lies the peace of God. I just like that as a just a little side note. It looks like I'm getting up close to an hour and a half. I will do about another half an hour more. We'll see how much farther I can get into the narrative, into the discussion. I haven't talked a lot about the mathematics of any of this today. Some days I'm more focused there. Some days I'm more focused on the psychological aspect of this. The mathematics, though, has been done that unifies the quantum and cosmological. There was just a story that I wanted to share, and I can't remember what the story is now. It was a really good story. Sometimes I do the Kafka doll story, and the reason that is the reason I do that story is because it illustrates something really true about the nature of existence and about the nature of reality and what is the relationship between your love and the physical world around you, and vice versa. So the Kafka and the doll story, let me tell that one really quick. But there was another story, and I was going to add it, and I don't know where it is now. I don't even remember what it is now. It has to come back to me organically. So, the Kafka and the doll story. Do I have it up here somewhere? I certainly should. Huh. Oh, it wasn't the Kafka and the doll story. I seem to have closed that window. And so instead of worrying about going and finding that again, I realize that I had been trying, I keep mentioning this guy back in Germany who would talk about the spirit changing, the form staying the same, but the spirit had changed, and how that made all the difference. And I couldn't remember what his name was, and I Googled, and I had to find him on kind of a lower page. It wasn't the front page of Google. It took me a minute to find him. But it's Milton Mayer is who it is. And everybody's heard of him. Well, I don't know if everybody's heard of him. But he wrote a book called They Thought They Were Free. And he's talking about the Germans, 1933, 1945. And I'm going to read this quote to you because I just thought it was really very moving. And one day, too late, your principles, if you were ever sensible of them, all rush in upon you. The burden of self-deception has grown too heavy, and some minor incident, in my case my little boy, hardly more than a baby, saying, "Jewish swine," collapses it all at once, and you see that everything has changed, and changed completely under your nose. The world you live in, your nation, your people, is not the world you were born in at all. The forms are all there, all untouched, all reassuring, the houses, the shops, the jobs, the meal times, the visits, the concerts, the cinema, the holidays. But the spirit, which you never noticed, because you made the lifelong mistake of identifying it with the forms, is changed. Now you live in a world of hate and fear, and the people who hate and fear do not even know it themselves. When everyone is transformed, no one is transformed. Now you live in a system which rules without responsibility, even to God. Anyway, the important part about that is, if you understand that the universe is vibrational first, then you pay most attention to the spirit. And actually, they should not have been focusing on the forms while that spirit shifted in their country. Had they been focused on the spirit, instead they would have seen it. And what is it? What does it mean to be focused on the spirit? You have to do it from the inside. You have to focus on your own feelings. You have to care about feeling good. You have to know that your default setting is joy. Your default setting is positive. And if you are in any state of negative being, it means you have turned yourself backwards to your real self. Do not move from this position. You can sit there. You can think about where you are and, what you think about stuff. I would sit on my hands whenever you are in a state of negative motion. Sit on your hands until you can come back to yourself. And then from your positive self, act again. Now, this is why we've had a hard time on planet Earth fixing our problems. Because you have to be able to see your problem to fix it, but as soon as you're looking at your problem, your vibration shifts. Now you're upset because you are aware of this problem, and now you're not in a really good place to be inspired of how to fix it. This is how come you need to understand the steps of creation. Step 1, life causes you to ask. Things happen that you don't like. People are stupid. They're not aware. They're clumsy. Where that design is, uncomfortable. Or, my house just burned down. My kids don't know how to make a living. Whatever it is that your problem is, life comes at you and gives you a problem that gives you a hit of negative emotion. I don't like that. And through your life, as you experience this negative emotion, it gives you clarity about what you want. Well, humanity has been doing this for a long time, and we've been keeping a record for a long time of what we like and what we don't like. And frankly, we have had enough war. I think it's pretty clear peace is better. We have starved enough. I think that we are aware that food and abundance is better. We live with enough inefficiency to know that efficiency is better. And your job in your life is to move from where you are, moving us all forward by virtue of noticing what would be better, more than noticing what is so bad. Now, some people, they just stay right there. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. But if you would know who you really are and not personally go down into a negative place when you experience a condition that you don't prefer, then you're in a better position to recognize what would be better. You're supposed to be driving your car. You're supposed to be looking forward. You're supposed to be pointing at what you prefer. You're a human being, not a human doing. And the pointing that you're doing is you lining up yourself inside correctly and then stating what would be better. And you know what that action will do is bring us all into better. You are an integral part of this equation, and as you find the better, you find it for us all, and you circulate it back into the system, and the universe is learning through us. We feed our little information back up to the big one. And then the big one files back down to everybody else. Now, everybody doesn't get your information as big as you put it up there. There's scaling relationships going on. Other people have their information primary in their field. And the information of the rest of the field comes in on a different layer. But we're all of it. It's like all of us have been issued the same full set of Legos. And I'm iterating it from my position, and you're iterating it from your position, and actually that makes all the difference. Makes all the difference. It's the beginning of diversity. It's also why no one else can call your path, because you have to call it from the position on the grid from where you are, because only from that position can you clearly, without distortion, hear the pure impulse from source. You're the only one who can call your shots, the only one who can call your path. Now, other people can help you in your alignment. They can help you understand who you are so that you can run your equations more efficiently and correctly, so that you don't get it all gobbed up wrong to begin with, thinking that this is a world of competition and only the fittest survive. And so we have to be in a state of constant, at our throats competition in order to determine who deserves to live and who must die. Or some nonsense like that. It's not survival of the fittest, people. It's the survival of the fit. The fit. Just be fit. You don't have to be the fittest. Just be fit. How do you be fit? Be aware. Know who you are. Play nice. Play nice with the rest of the field. Because you are not just yourself. You're not just looking for a single isolated win. You're looking for the win-win position. Let's see. What else do I have here that I could share? I have this thing. Let's see. I'm supposed to cover law of attraction, your GPS emotional system, what the meaning of your emotions are. You have a negative hit of emotion. It means, first of all, you have seem to have run across something in the conditional field that you do not prefer. And so the target is always to change that condition. But you got to know the condition isn't primary, the vibration is. And so if you want to change the condition, you got to change the vibration. The condition's still the target. I don't like that condition. I want to change it. I don't like world poverty. I've got to change it. Or I want to change it. But I can't change it from a negative position. When I interpret it as a negative thing, when I come at it from my negative emotions, when I try to walk directly at it and, muscle it into some kind of difference from the outside, does not work. You cannot change the world that way. That is not how we change the world. We've got to turn ourselves to the positive, back into the light, understand who we really are. And then from that more cheerful, more good-humored position, knowing that nothing actually can hurt us because we are the Planck field itself. And from that position, we call what we cloak ourselves in. We are not hurt by the changing conditions. We call the changing conditions. So let's see, I'm supposed to cover all of that. And then the vortex of creation, I did mention that. The quantum field, certainly did talk about that. The emergence of matter, well, that's this thing right here. The origin of mass and the nature of gravity, that thing. that paper. This was put out last September. This is actually the roadmap to the mathematics that's going to help us conquer gravity. Because what this is going to do is help us understand gravity. And you have to completely understand it first. And then you go, oh, well, this is how we could do that. We could direct a space vehicle by creating a singularity at the nose of the and be able to direct the vehicle to fall into the singularity. And that way we can point it in any direction, straight up, straight whatever, it doesn't matter. We don't have to overcome gravity through thrust or traditional fuel usage. So anyway, let me get off this picture. I don't want to just stay on these pictures anymore. I used to do that. I get caught up in what I was talking about, and then I'd leave some dry photo on the screen. Most of the time, you can just listen to me. You don't have to look at any visual aid. I have done episodes where I never changed it. And then I've done them where I just change. You know, like it's my PowerPoint presentation. Let's see, world peace and unlimited clean free energy. What else do I need to cover? Where did the human design come from? Oh yeah, okay. I haven't covered that one. So I have mentioned that I thought we were possibly genetically modified, and it makes sense to me that somebody would genetically modify us in this way, giving us that overview mind, that neocortex layer of ourselves. And here's the neocortex diagram where you see the overview mind. This is the human mind over here on the right, neocortex, in charge of logic, analysis, rational thought, all that. So as we developed our higher selves, as we developed into the beings that we are, blessed and privileged as we are on planet Earth to garden this blessed Eden that we find ourselves in, we did not trade in our previous minds. We still have a lizard brain. We still have mammalian reactions, knee-jerk reactions to things going on in the field around us. That's our mammalian brain and our lizard brain, and they aren't wrong. But we have our overview mind now, our neocortex layer of mind, and apparently about 3/4 of the volume of this comes from human chromosome number 2. And so I was directed to this information through Greg Braden. Kind of points you that direction. He doesn't baldly say the things that I say, but he obliquely alludes to them. And this slide is his, and he shows us this. He pointed me to find the pnas.org article. So I just like, okay, it appears to be volume 88, pages blah, 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 at the whatever. I had to Google that, PROC period, NADL period. I didn't know what that was. I Googled that, and it told me that's the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences over at pnas.org, where all of the disciplines of the different sciences are publishing their work to each other because they're the only ones who understand that level of specialized language of their particular scientific discipline. So you publish it to your peers, they look it over, they decide whether they want to challenge it or not because they think you're wrong. The careers are made, and careers are made this way. So you go over and you find this. It turns out it was a volume published October 15th, 1991. There were 2 volumes published in 1991, one in like April. And those page numbers are not as easy to find either because they're hidden within the articles. So you could probably open up articles and see if you're getting closer. Or I just read the titles of the articles. I couldn't find a good table of contents. So I just read article after article after article until I found this one. It was the 40th article in Origin of Human Chromosome Number 2, an ancient telomere to telomere fusion. And look what they say. We conclude that this is the relic of an ancient telomere-to-telomere fusion and marks the point at which two ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. Now you'll notice they do not claim to be saying how they fused. It's not saying this is an artificial fusion or this was a natural fusion. They're just saying, I don't know how, but this damn chromosome is 2 lower chromosomes fused together. And furthermore, you notice when you do the sequencing on it, you will notice that when Greg Braden here in the red says modifications followed to stabilize the fusion, what he's talking about is there were redundancies within those 2 fused chromosomes that got fused together to create the number 2 one that we've got now that is responsible for 76% of the neocortex volume. That redundancies on both sides of that fusion were clipped away, and that helped stabilize the fusion. Now, you could still perhaps imagine how that was done accidentally. I don't know. I don't know whether you could. I think it was. I think that it is evidence that we were genetically modified some 200,000 years ago, and it's how come, echoing back into ancient times, you feel this tradition of creation coming from all over the planet. And, we explain it away by, it's just a metaphor for, incremental Darwinian evolutionary processes, having developed us over eons and eons of time. It's just a metaphor for that. And that's what I always thought. And one of the reasons I always thought that was because I did not buy the superstitious, supernatural kind of magic looking description that my church was giving me about what the meaning of any of this stuff was. I didn't believe in virgin births. I didn't believe in, things just popping out of nowhere for no reason. It didn't seem to me likely that a supernatural God just created us and we were separate from the rest of the biofield. It just did not make any sense. And now this makes sense because we actually developed in the biofield of planet Earth, just like everything else did. That's why our genetics match everything else. So we aren't extraterrestrial in that way. But someone gave us a little bump on our overview mind, on our and when you realize that this neocortex also gives us our higher emotions, it gives us all of our emotions. It gives us our human emotions, our ability to go into great, terrible depths of negative emotion, our ability to soar with exalted higher emotions. And the reason that is because it has a mind. It has given us a mind that is capable of resonating with or clashing with this source mind that we've got going all the time. That's the meaning of your negative emotion. So, take it as a limited, there's something in the field that needs fixing, or something that needs improving, or something that could be more, or could be better. But don't take it as an indictment of any kind of real important, it's okay. We are okay. All is well. So let's see what else we have to cover. I realize I only have about 10 minutes left, and I don't want the time to get away from me. I have covered all of that. Let's see what else we got going here. So the idea of us being spin coming out of spin coming out of spin. And you have your individuated spin, but what is that individuated spin? Because your individuated spin is actually a collection of a whole bunch more underneath you that you are the head of that spin. So it's almost like you are source to all of your cells. Each one of them an autonomous attractor, an autonomous disk of spinning attraction. But they don't have a neocortex overview mind to double think the way we do. And so there's no relationship that could be off there, really, not exactly. Not coming from them, maybe coming from us at the top, because we are the ones ordering all of ourselves. Who am I? Who am I? I am a divinely autonomous chooser. So what I was going to try to get to was you are also connected into greater and greater fields of morphogenetic fields of data and information. And as you go into the center of your center of your center, you link up with these higher systems of data and information. And all of this needs to be moving very freely, without resistance, without people sticking, monkey wrenches into it in order to, get certain stuff to come their way so that they can capitalize. It all needs to be free-flowing and resistance-free before humanity is really the being that the fully co-cooperative being that we are meant to be. We are one being on this planet, made of many. And all of those many, each and every one of them needs to be free to call their own path. And then it would be very helpful if the general group understood who we were and how this works. I believe that the quantum field is so cool. Not only will it yield unlimited free, clean energy to all of us wherever we are, it can also operate like a 3D printer as a means to manufacture certain goods. You don't have to manufacture everything the old-fashioned way that we have been doing it. We can make better things, like pulling them directly out of the matrix, if you will. But you got to believe that these things are possible. You have to understand the fundamental nature of the creation machine that is the universe. And then you need to understand where you are positioned in this equation as well. At least generally. There's only one of us here. There is no us and them. We're all here for the fun. We're here for the joy. You don't have to understand everything that I'm talking about overtly. If you simply knew that we were here for the fun and your default setting is actually joy. Your default setting is somewhere at least around contentment. Contentment on up is your natural state. That negative state is not a natural state. It's a knee-jerk to something in the field in the moment. And that's it. If you take it farther than that, if you spin thought from that source, then you end up with flawed thought. That's just all there is to it. Our negative emotions are not meant to spin thought from. It's just don't like that. That's fair. There's a lot of things on this earth happening that I don't like. War and rape and murder and cruelty and the sixth mass extinction and the desertification and garbage island and global warming and global poverty and world war and, etc. All of that stuff. Don't like it. But our ability to move away from those positions into fields that we prefer is going to depend on us knowing who we are, because you have to turn positive. If you're making a negative evaluation, if you're interpreting a condition in a negative way, you can only receive a negative result from it. You're spinning out a negative result. You're not going to like what you end up with. That interpretation is only going to get you more and more and more of that crap that you're tired of. So, let's see. I'm going to do one more quote, and then I'm going to leave you for the day. This is a quote I do from time to time. I think I've done it in the last few days, fairly recently. When you integrate yourself as a biological being, you connect with the morphogenetic field of the planet. When you integrate yourself at the atomic level, you connect with the solar system. At the level of the proton, you integrate with the galaxy. And when you get all the way down to the Planck, you integrate with the universe. Now, that has to do with all of the layers and layers and layers that are you, that you have access to, that you are a part of, that you are dancing with. And so, I'm going to leave you with one more thought. We all create our own unique reality within this one common one that we all share. You are dreaming this common reality. We are dreaming. We are dreaming this common reality into place. Let's learn how it works so that we stop nightmaring it into place instead. And until next time, I'm so glad you could join me. And until tomorrow or when I see you again, may the source be with you.